You are listening to Home Run with Pippi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Hey. DK, unajua kuna mtu alisema tumerun spaces kila siku na tukosi content. Sasa mtu kama huyo hiyo ni content kabisa hiyo.
Nilikuwa just about kukuambia literally mua mkasubuhi najiuliza leo kutakuwa na kitu and then before you know it content ina come for free. Must go.
Must go. Acha kwanza nisikilize hiyo part imenibamba.
By denying students their right to education. Governor Nyaribo is on record to be the governor who has sponsored the highest number of students.
Yaani ni kama alichukua maji ya pilipili akamwaga kwa kidonda.
Mwambie hapana.
Mwambie hapana.
Almost 1,000 students. Kuna mtu ananyamazisha hapa. Aende. It is my right to speak and I will speak. Aende. Aende. Hakuna kitu mtafanya. No.
Atuoli is watching this video and saying, tuko sawa.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are your leaders.
Hey, MCA amenibamba. That is an MCA by the way in Nyamira County. Amekuja kusema vile governor anapatiana the most bursaries. Watu ukiona hiyo video unaona ni kama wamemwagiwa mafuta. Wanawaka. Unatuambia nini wewe? Pakusimu nanifurahisha sana. And you request the microphone, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the second side of the show. That is 5 p.m. Open time iliisha haraka kwa sababu tulianza haraka.
You are listening to Home Run with Pippi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
I have a question for you, DK Gift, and that is actually the basis of today's conversation. When someone comes to you right now and tells you have been here talking about changing your country, you want this Kenya, that Kenya, what would you say is the Kenya you want?
Am I even ready to answer that one yet? Nahitaji funda la maji. What is the Kenya I want?
Wacha nikuwekelee jingle. Niweke mrefu, si ndio?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Welcome to Home Run with Pippi.
Nana Ruth Nyanchama ananiambia nimpatie hiyo clip ya watu wa Nyamira wakisema and I will speak. Wacha turudie hiyo part.
Yes, Governor Amos Nyaribo was tabled before the Nyamira.
Kuna mtu ananyamazisha hapa. Aende. It is my right to speak and I will speak. Aende. I will speak and I will speak. Aende. Hakuna kitu mtafanya. No.
Eti mkutano itakufa. Wamezoea kuua watu mpaka hadi mkutano wanataka kuua. Eti mkutano itakufa. Okay, sawa, nimecomment hapo watu wangu muione. But hii mkutano mjue imekufa hii.
You are listening to Home Run with Pippi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
How are you doing, Anthony Mureithi? Unaendeleaje?
I'm good, Pippi. How Pippi, can you hear me?
Sisi tuko salama.
Yes.
Isipokuwa sarakasi tuko sawa.
Hata mimi niko fit. Uliuliza swali. You asked DK a question. what kind of Kenya would he want to see? Sindio?
Yes.
You know, PP, I noticed one thing. Do you see the way Ushai notice as people have these, it's like fireworks. You know, we have this explosion of something, then it just dies out. So yesterday, nikaamka nikarealize. Unaona venye sisi waza kitu then tunawacha, tunaanza kitu kingine then tunawacha. I realized one day, hata ni jana, let me not go to one day, jana jioni. I'm doing a research on the role of IBC and what commissioners get to do, what the chairman gets to do. And I realized, unaona venye sisi hatunanga hiyo consistency. That's how we ended up with Ruto, man. Because Ruto never sleeps, never takes a break, never takes an off. And I think hapo ndio yeye ameweza kushinda wase wengi sana because of that consistency of, he's a bad guy, but he's bad consistently. And that consistency is what keeps people winning. So the only reason he's winning, as much as yeye ni mbaya, is because his consistency is 100%. Like, he can beat you down with his bad governance. And up to the point where wataamua tu siku moja, that mantra one day he said, I don't have the luxury to surrender, nor to retreat. I think hiyo ndio siku tutapata ile Kenya tunataka. If we don't get it in us that bad, then he'll keep on winning. Juu atatuchokesha. Asha figure out sisi uchapa haraka. So he just keep on beating us down with bad governance. I don't know. Anyway, that's just me, bro.
Okay, I hear you, Anthony, and I think now you're getting to understand why I was not much invested in working so much with Kenyans in terms of putting together something. Because one thing I noticed, mtakuja together kuanza kutengeneza kitu, and then when you go, when mnaendelea kuendelea, you realize at the end of it all, you are alone. The rest have turned to another hero. Yeah. Right now, imefika mahali mpaka tumeanza tuna compare Kasmuel na Morara, which is some crazy thing if you think about it, you know.
This is Home Run with Pipi.
Bosire.
It's actually sad. Before you go to Bosire, it's actually sad. It's true. That's where we've gotten to. Right now, we've gotten to the point of comparing from one guy to the other because we are like a matchstick. You know the way just like Nani Anto amesema. You know the way unaona kibiriti ya zebra ukiwasha. Unaona venye inawakaga na nini? Na uchampez inakuwaga tu imevua. Alafu mara moja unaona tu hiyo moto imeenda tu imedai. Shwa. Na hiyo kibiriti inazima. That's who we've become.
Bosire. Allah. Bosire, are you there? If you can hear me, unmute your mic and talk to me. Looks like Bosire is not with us. Mambo vipi John Seremani?
Hey, vipi.
Poa sana baba.
DK habari bana.
Salama. Wewe?
I'm good, awesome. So first of all, thanks again for the opportunity. Wacha nianze hapo Nyamira. So people don't know this. That's actually my home county. And we had a space, we were talking about that thing. And of course, us wengine wenye wanaklama, the MCAs, of course, are urged on by the Senator Omogeni. They're not angels. In fact, the senator is eyeing the governor's seat. I thought to work for him, lakini reject finance bill ikaanza. And let me just say, the resolve among the young people was, we'll support this impeachment thing. Honestly, because the guy has really done nothing. And also because if we can use a devil to kick out another devil, we'll do that. But come 2027, wherever it might be, wasa watakuwa wamejipanga. So plans are ongoing, don't worry. Lakini that thing is just funny. Wanamchukia pia, and some of them have always been in his pocket somehow, one time in another. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes on. Lakini hasa wametuchekesha. Alafu there was the other thing about the question you asked, Pipita. I mean, you asked DK about the Kenya we want. So just allow me to share this tweet to the space hapo juu. It's part of a thread by Kimuzi. And he's talking about Kindiki. I don't know if you know, but Kindiki was among the people when they're clamoring for a new constitution. He was among the legal minds in all that push and also fighting against Moi, etc. But look at him today. And I think it's a testimony of human nature, honestly, that there are people who we might be in the movement today, but come 20, 30 years later, they'll be the same people who'll be continuing what exactly Ruto is doing today. So I think we need a bit more time to weed out fake leaders. You know, let people show their real character. With regard to the question itself, I think with the Kenya we want, me personally, I'd really want a country where, honestly, there's simply the rule of law for everyone. But I really believe, eventually, in order to get that, we'll need to, itabidi tukuwe a new kind of a birthday. The system is corrupt to the core, but it begins with the head. So if we bring in a fresh thinking and people who have inviolable characters, naangalia hivi naona, honestly, we can do that. But I don't know, we are still writing our history as a country. So maybe that's my opening remarks.
DK, unasikia tunaandika history yetu, and we don't want to land in the hands of fake leaders again. Wale wanasema tunawapigania, lakini hapa nyuma wanafanya mambo yao. Let me know pale hivi kwenye comment section, what is the Kenya you want? Ingia kwenye mic, tell me what is the Kenya you want and what are you doing towards that? And of course, I started with the educating a nation because I think right now as a country we are at that point where we need to educate our country in terms of civic education. And I've heard that many people are talking about, we want to go to the villages and educate people there. And your neighbors are not educated. We know university students don't vote. There was a soundbite I heard of Omo Shula Jacaranda, and he was talking about the way university kids don't vote. And I am sorry, I didn't vote in 2017, and it really hurt me. So I know what he's trying to say, but ikifika 2027 hakuna mambo ya voter apathy kama vile watu wamekuwa wakiongelea. We need to be out there and make sure we vote. Aya, naona Bosira amejaribu kurudi kwenye mic, request the microphone and let's talk. What is the Kenya you want?
Yeah, I'm back.
Thank you so much for that. And also, if you are into civic education, let me know what is your experience on civic education so far so good, because we agreed we're going to be doing civic education. But you know, if I go and do civic education and then stop doing home run in PP, we'll not have a catch up. So I choose to be here to be the medium, and you go down there to the streets and educate more people and come give us a feedback. So how are you doing, Bosire, though?
I'm doing great, but for me, what I can say, we have a long time. We have a long way to go as a country. That is it, because the information that is reaching the ground is biased. So the people, the majority, the silent ones, or the majority, when you go to the villages and all that, those people, the problem is not getting information or getting something about something. They get that, but how are they getting it? The kind of interpretation, the response to what they hear about is quite different. So that makes it so hard for us to work, because I think for me, civic education now, because when you go deep into the villages, people that in the village, they're just celebrating March. talking about the MPs and all that. They are celebrating people who are stealing, not doing what they are supposed to do. Maybe someone is celebrating about being given a bursary, NG, something of that kind, bursaries and all that. Construct is they're just doing they are refurbishing the old classes and all that, but people are celebrating those guys. So you see, there is a problem there. Yeah, the problem is what is getting to the ground. What are the people getting back at home? So that is it. That is what I can say about that. But what needs to be done now is people need to be forced to get that information. So that is the only thing we have. Like now you can see I think the problem is even the member of parliament, those MPs and those guys. Those are the main problem because what, especially the Kenya Kwanza guys, what they take to the village is biased. So that is it. That is what I can say.
Thank you for that submission, Bosire. And then, one thing about the information channels, we are supposed to be going out there and telling people exactly what is happening in our country. It a bit to educate, yeah. But it is something that we need to tolerate, and some of the times, we couldn't. Watu wanatakanga tu kupewa information, lakini hawataki kuinvest in getting that information. So it is also those people who go out there and wanajituma, get his information, ndio wanatupatia. And we need to go out there because this organizational of the movement is actually taking shape. And I said the leadership of this organization will finally show up. And people are like, oh, PP man say, no. That we target leaders. But the truth of the matter is the leaders will show. And this is how they will show. Just like the government is a system, okay? Every morning, the president wakes up, he gets information from the National Security Council with regards of how the country is going on, okay? Every day, there is also people who are working on various information channels, communication. There are people who are in the front, there are people in the back, in the ministry, there are people in the financial sector. Now, in this movement of trying to shape up and shape out that government, we need to also have that type of organization where we have people who are whistleblowers, we have people who are fact-checking, and we also have people who are actually going out to interact with the people, depending on our abilities. Abilities is the word. Abilities. Let us mainly focus on our abilities. If you're good in communication, go out there and make sure that you're doing something in communication that is helping. You realize that we have been having consistent posters, and most of the time we don't even know who is making those posters. Half of the people who post posters are Occupy. They don't know who is making them. The other half think it's maybe Kin Hanifa, and probably it's not. So if we have had such a movement that people can do things in their own way and to make it work, then there is that. FemCube Dest is saying a country free of corruption. That is my dream country myself. What is your Kenya you want? How do we get to that Kenya? That is the question also. How do we get to that Kenya? Because Kenya ni yetu yote. Kenya ni yetu wote. Why is it that you are telling us to go out of the country while you are only going out of the country for visits, and then you come back to chill in Kenya? Why do you want us to go away? Wewe mbona usiishie na familia yako? Tunajua mmenunua mashamba na manyumba huko, si basi mwende muishi huko, muresign hizi viti zenu, tutafute watu wenye wanataka kukaa hapa hivi Kenya watusaidie. DK, what do you think?
I think in everything that you said and everything that people have been saying for months, from a nation where healthcare is working, corruption is taken account for, and all those things. I think the way I'd summarize it first, PP, would be I would wish for a Kenya that I'm proud to have my daughter inherit from me when her time to adult like me comes. I know with every generation na kila kizazi, there is always going to be challenges for them to deal with. But the truth of the matter is the challenges that we are facing in this generation, me and you, PP, right now, in as far as the governance of this country is concerned, if these challenges are not seen to now, there'll even be a worse Kenya for your kid and my kid to inherit when their time comes. To be worse than even what we have now. I don't even know where it will be. I wish for something that I'll be proud of, something that I'm not going to give my daughter the same answer that I'm given by folk who are equal to be my parents. When for example I ask them, what did you guys try to do in your time? Or when I talk to them about what it is we are trying right now, and I hear them respond to us and tell us, unajua serikali kutoka kitambo imekuwa hivyo, unajua mambo ingine haiwezi badilika. Is you wake up, you do your part, and then the rest you leave to God. I don't want to give that answer to my daughter as far as this country is concerned. And I'm not blaming our parents for giving that answer, but who wants to give that? It's an uncertain answer. It's telling me you settle for whatever you're being given. If it's breadcrumbs, you take the breadcrumbs. At least you did not sleep hungry. You tasted some bread. Relax, calm down. I want something that I can look and say and say, you know what? Things are working. I'm not taking my kid to school and worrying. May my child end up being one of the statistics of every year when they say that fires are bound to always happen, or a statistic of my daughter struggling to get just some simple health care when she's going to conceive her own child, just like many are doing now. I think that's because there's the broadness of everything we've talked about, baby, right? Everything from what is not working in the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, what is not working in the devolution system, what is not working as far as the MPs, all of it, and how we've all spoken in all these spaces for the couple of months that have passed about what we wish for. We wish that this happens. We wish that people be held accountable for corruption. We wish that if somebody is summoned to the court and they don't appear, they face their sentence. And that for sure they face their sentence, that they will not end up on a vacation in Malibu when we are here thinking that somebody is in a 6-month sentence, but they are not. Because that's the Kenya we have right now. But I want a Kenya that actually works. That if I will repeat again what I said jana, pipi, Kim Jong-un hata tukimchukia ulimwengu itakumchukia venye inaweza mchukia, hata akakuwa na zile issues zingine zote zinaweza kuwa, and I'm not negating them. Those kind of countries, sometimes I admire them for how they deal with people in state offices. That you've let 4,000 people die, my friend, we hang you. It's as simple as that. A Kenya where 2,000 people are not more important than 53 million people living in the country. That's the Kenya I want. I see John Sayamani's hand is up. Let's go to him. John.
Yeah, thanks again. Yeah. So I've as you were speaking, I was collecting my thoughts. Let's take a step back and let me ask this question: How many people here before this year were actually reading the Auditor General's report? How many? I'm guessing close to zero. How many?
Spend it on Yako, by the way.
Actually, sorry, hello?
Spend it on Yako, Kama huko umekuja kutugombeza
No.
ungeanza tu mapema. Sasa nini hizi ni maswali gani unauliza? Sisi we have agreed that we have known our country is going to the dogs juzi. Sasa hata hiyo report kuna watu wamejua this year.
Wallahi.
No. I'm in that group. Don't worry.
Continue.
How many of us were reading the appropriations bill or the budget book? You know, maybe close to negative something, if we are to be honest. But you see what this has done, eh? And let me just state, the revolution of the mind is stronger than the revolution of the street. The revolution of the street will complete or may complete. But how we think about government, how we relate, how the people relate with government, that is the real revolution. Of course, the icing on the cake is a new leadership which will crown the revolution, like a new leadership with new thoughts to obey the constitution and implement it. And I think we can get there, but we are getting there. So yes, Inaka, it might even look hopeless. Huh? It may even look like, oh, you know, Jana Asali and Russia, and apparently cops were blocking their way or something. You know, it seems like the impunity is just going on. This Masangeli guy is just running away from court orders. It might look like that, but we've begun on a journey. And some of these things take years. Some of these things take months. It doesn't matter. But let's take stock of the fact that, honestly, those guys who are shot outside parliament, they didn't die in vain. And there is something happening because the revolution takes place in the mind. So me, this year, niko chonjo sana na history appropriations bill, in fact, more than the Auditor General's report. And next year, same thing. And as we grow that number, you see what Morara is doing, you see what Kasmel is doing, Wileweba, all these guys, we need to amplify those efforts. So with the Kenya we want, yes, we can say we want this Kenya, we want that Kenya, but we can also say that we have started getting it because we are in the journey to wake up our fellow people and to realize what needs to be done. Because honestly, who used to care? Who used to care about these things? Very few people. But now, more and more people care. So, pole sana kama nimekuumiza vipita.
No, you're spot on. You're very spot on, John. I mean, there's a plenty of us. I'm in the same club as you. I've said it here before. 25th of June for me was an eye opener. I wasn't even as much involved even in the growth of the protest in the weeks before that particular day. I was just watching it. I was just seeing it from afar and saying, okay, people are doing this, people are saying the protest, okay, fine, all right. Yeah, I know things are not okay here, but that's fine. So you're very right on that. Before I go to Anthony, before I go to Western and Fabish, who are the new speakers, let me give Anthony a quick 2 minutes, and then I go to Western and then Fabish. Anthony?
Thank you, DK. So one of the things that I decided to do was really study how Barack Obama became president, because he was propelled by the young people, not really the old. And there's a statement he made that really captured my imagination. He told people, you know, those Harvard graduates, and was Solemn campaign here, they did what is called the door-to-door campaign for Barack Obama. You know, they were raising $5, $2, whatever you could give him, you gave him. But there's a statement of Barack Obama said. He told them, he said something just the other day when they were doing the DNC. So he mentioned Trump and people booed. They went boo. And Obama silenced them by saying one thing: don't boo, vote. Because booing doesn't change anything. That's when he was campaigning for the old guy, Joe Biden. He told people, booing doesn't change anything. Your vote changes everything. So just to land, I'll tell everyone here. One, I'm a very minimum to work now. I love thinking long term rather than short term. Why? Because that way I'm able to manage my emotions and my expectations. Ruto is here with us until 2027. That's a fact. Why? Because Ruto plays the long game. He never plays the short game. If you look at the last elections, when everyone was confused, Ruto made sure half of the commissioners of the IEBC were on his side. And then he made another very critical thing. He made sure the chairman was his friend. Now, let me describe for you the work of the commissioners and the returning officers. Commissioners, returning officers have almost a similar thing. But the law says that commissioners discuss, the law requires that IBC commissioners to vote only on the business of the commission. But the chair is the one who can announce the presidential elections. So he made sure he had the chair. As everyone else was clamoring for the commissioners, you want half. He was very clever because Ruto looks at his life like a chessboard. So he's always making a strategic move. So as we go to the next elections, everyone here, before you think about anything else, be very interested about the commissioners who run the next elections. Because whoever will be the chair of the elections, it doesn't matter if all other commissioners say what. Whatever he announces is the law. That person becomes president. And once that announcement is made, it is effective immediately. So as we see it and we do everything, let us ask ourselves, what's happening around the IEBC? And why is that story silent? And we need to ask ourselves another question. Now that the government and the opposition are on one side, could this broad-based government want to govern us in the next 5 years? Because if we don't ask ourselves those questions, then we have a tyranny of bad leaders working together to make sure we don't achieve or get what we want. So let's play chess as we do everything we are doing. Let's ask ourselves, where should our interest be? Which is a checkmate move? If you can figure out the checkmate, then you know where to focus. But Deputy IG being sentenced for 6 months, he's not even going to hide. Who will arrest him? No one. It's only a distraction. A couple of MPs saying Sijui they are choosing Kindiki. Who? Ruto is very good at throwing distractions to people, but he's very good at focusing on what it matters to do the checkmate. So that's my final. I'll drop, then I listen in.
Asante. Thank you, Anthony. I know Fabish is hitting up to come on. Before I come to you, Fabish, let me just jump on to Western Shilao. And before I do, Bona Western, good evening.
Good evening. Hi. Is that DK?
Yes, that's DK.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, my brother. Yourself?
Keeping well, but overwhelmed as usual. You know, every other day you wake up to some heavy stuff.
Yeah, tell me about it.
DK, I don't know who said they admire this North Korean strongman, Kim Jong-un. Be as it may.
Was me. Yeah, yes, that was me.
Be as it may. Well, I want to ask, if you admire Kim Jong-un, would you really have a problem with Ruto or any other person who acts autocratically? Dika, you don't have to answer me, or you can.
No, I can. And if you allow me, let me say this.
Yes.
It is not the man himself that I admire, actually. I think it is the rules, or rather the law in their countries, for example, like China or wherever, where they take literal action on people. You're caught stealing, your hand is gone. You're caught doing this, you're hanged. So I think it's more about the laws rather than the man.
Well, I will speak about North Korea. You know, DK, if you want to know that a country is not governed by the rule of law, look at the title of the person at the apex. Kim Jong-un is called the supreme leader. supreme leader, whatever that means. The same way Muammar Gaddafi went under the title brother leader. Muammar Gaddafi was not a president, was not a
Mnatoa Western akiongea hata mna adabu nyinyi. Mnamtoa akiongea.
This is the home run with PP.
Wacha nitumie wakati yenye tunangojea Western Shilaho kuconnect kwa space kuuza sera kidogo ya show. Show yetu hii inaitwa Homeland PP, comes to you every day from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. East African time. And of course, this show is supported by either listener. If you like what I'm doing, there is a tip jar line 0721948229 where you can send in your support via M-Pesa. And also, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make a point to click on my account and go and subscribe to our channel directly. So Western Shilao sijui nini imemfanyikia, kama ni kumpigia amempigia ama amem-uproot. I think we'll just go to Fabish and then we'll bring in Western right after. Thanks so much for tuning in. Fabish.
Thanks a lot, Pepita. That is how powerful Kim Jong-un is. Anytime you touch his name, you are attacked immediately. He doesn't waste time. Anyway, asante sana ndugu yangu Pepita, ndugu yangu Bwana DK Gift, wale ambao tuko katika speakers panel, wale ambao wanatufuatilizia pia katika kusikiliza, na wote ambao ni wafuasi wa hii channel ya Pepita. Shukran sana, unafanya kazi kubwa, kila wakati unatupatia fursa na nafasi ya kuweza kujieleza na kupanga mambo ya taifa letu. Kama leo umetuambia kwamba ni elimu kuhusu nchi tuitakayo. Naona umeweka hapo Omran with Pipi, na umeweka kama kawaida kopo la bakshishi ambao ni wajibu wetu kama wafuasi wa channel hii na wakereketwa tuweze kuendelea kufund ili tupate nafasi kila wakati ya kuweza kuzungumza, kubadilishana mawazo na kubadilishana hata elimu. Kwanza, kabla sijaanza my submission, I normally don't like rebuttals, but kindly, with your permission, allow me to rebuttal two issues. One of the speaker that was here, kidogo nataka kukinzana na yeye because nafikiri hii ni mara ya pili nikisikia statements zake kidogo labda zinakinzana na yangu, lakini najua kwamba ni haki yake, ni opinion yake kutoa. Kwanza nimesikia akisema kwamba yeye ni mkereketwa, ni mfuasi wa Obama, lakini then ana make contradiction, by himself. Kwanza naona kuna pessimism kwamba ukisema ati Masengeli hawezi kushikwa, hawezi kufanywa nini, this kind of statement haiwezekani, haifanyi nini. Juzi pia tulisikia mtu mwingine akituambia Adani hawezi kuondoka, labda tu renegotiate. Hivyo ndio tuliambiwa finance bill haiwezi kudropiwa. That is like treason, that is like overthrowing government, so hii nguvu, hii mambo ya kukaa na kuishiwa na kusema kwamba hii haiwezekani, hii haiwezi kwenda namna hii. Nafikiri ni wakati ambao wa Kenya tunafaa kujua kwamba vile Pepita hapa ametuambia Kenya I want. Nikasikia DK Gift akisema the Kenya I wish. So I would go for Pepita, the Kenya I want. We don't wish, we want. It is our right, it is our country. Kwa hivyo mambo ya kusema kwamba ati sasa tutakaa Masengeli hakuna kitu atafanyiwa. The reason why wa Kenya tumesimama is because we want to implement the change. Tulisimama juzi tukasema kwamba Ndani lazima ondoke, na sasa unaona mambo imesimama. Upepo umevuma na yuondoka. It is not way about it. Hakuna kurenegotiate wala kufanya nini, anaondoka. Kwa hivyo hata huyu Masengeli asiende kufanya kato pale akisema ati hii ni Kenya, hawezi kufanya hivi sababu Matangi pia aliwahi kufanywa hivyo. No, I think this time around things are different. Kenyans wamesimama and are ready to take charge of their country na kusema kwamba now you do things our way, not your ways. Masengeli kama amevunja kanuni na sheria, he must be subjected to it. Then mambo ya IBC, nimesikia pia kuna mtu hapa amekuja akasema at what chairmans announce, that will be the results. That is not the kind of institution that we want, that what chairman announce. So, nimependa vile amesema kwamba Ruto alimchukua chairman alikuwa ni wake. Very well. He articulated very well. Chairman alikuwa ni wake, and what he announced, it was not the real results. Ndio sababu Ruto ni president. But this time round, it is different. It is not about what chairman announced. It is the voice of the people. What people want, that will be the results. It doesn't matter what chairman want to announce. Kwa hivyo nafikiri let us live to a new order, a new reality. Kwamba Kenya as a country, watu wamechukua usukani. Then watu wamesema kwamba sijui makelele kwa street, sijui nini, makelele inafanya change. Na especially katika historia yetu, that is how changes were effected. From 1991, during multipartyism, mambo ilianzia, changes ilianzia kwa street. Hata the current constitution 2010, changes pia ilianzia kwa street. So kusema kuwa ati Ruto haiwezi kusikia makelele ama makelele haiwezi kuleta mabadiliko. Mabadiliko inaletwa kwa street. Freedom ya US ilianzia kwa street. Freedom ya blacks kupigania haki yao ilianzia kwa street. It was not done in office. Ilianzia kwa streets. Hivyo ndio changes inafanyika. Kusema kwamba Ruto atakaa mpaka 2027, hiyo ni mambo ambayo inahitaji maombi. Anaweza yes akafika 2027, anaweza asifike. Vita ile ambayo inafanyika Kenya, inafanyika vita tofauti tofauti. Even spiritual is involved. So unaweza kuwa unakaa ukiwa sure kwamba Ruto atafika 2027 na maombi ile wa Kenya wamepiga ikafika labda mali imefika na hata mambo ikabadilika asifiki 2027. Nobody knows. Ni yeye na Mungu wake ndio anajua destiny, if at all you have a God. So na pia bado wa Kenya ine time wanaweza kuamua na wakabadilika, because viongozi tumeonyesha kwamba kama walikuwa anafikiria they can always sit down and predict what Kenyans will do. This time is different. You cannot predict. Saa hizi tumejua kwamba tuna deal na waizi. Wakipiga left, tunapiga macho. Wakipiga right, tunapiga macho. Yaani kama unakaa na mwizi ukilala jicho moja huwa iko wazi. That is how Kenyans are behaving with their leaders now. So ningeomba ndugu zanguni tukue optimistic. Ile kitu iko ambao imenishangaza tu leo ni huyo judge anaitwa Justice Mogambi. Sijawahi kusikia judgment ya aina hiyo duniani. This is the first time. Ati kwamba you are sentenced, alafu you are again requested that you can come and redeem yourself. I would wish to see an ordinary Kenyan kwamba ati we ulipeleka gari vibaya. Okay, umefungwa 3 months but umekupatia 2 days that you can come and redeem yourself. This is the first time. So huyo jaji mwenyewe kwanza is a joker himself. Hata before tuongee mambo ya Masengeli vile ataingia prison. That ruling, I think maybe Peter baadaye utaleta lawyers wakuja watuambie hiyo ruling ya aina gani. Kwamba kama ulikuwa bado unataka kumpatia time hiyo 7 days, why wouldn't you wait for that 7 days, then you make a deliberate ruling ya kumalizia. Lakini hatuna huwa mtu. Anyway, ni ile mambo kwamba tunaambiwa Yesu alikufa akafufuka baada ya siku 3 na akaenda mbinguni. Na angeenda mbinguni directly. Sasa hizi theories huyo judge nafikiri hiyo judgment yake, I pass myself, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm questioning that kind of judgment because hapa mahali nimefika sijawahi kusikia that kind of judgment. Najua kama umemfunga mtu, umepata na hatia, ushamfunga. Mambo ya kujiridim, anajiridimu wakati anatumikia kifungo yake. Hakunaga redemption mara mbili. Unafungwa, unaenda kutumikia kifungo yako. That is now when you redeem yourself from your crime ambao ulicommit. But huku unaambiwa unaweza kutokezea ama unaweza kwenda jela. Inakaa questionable. Ni kama jaji mwenyewe anamuogopa. So wacha tutaangalia vile ambao itakwenda. So hiyo ni asante. Sitachukua muda mwingi wa kupoteza. Asante sana bwana Pipita na bwana DK.
Ningependa kusema shout out, yani kelele ya juu kwa bwana Ismail Luta kwa kuvunja ukame kwenye tip jar. Asante sana Ismaili for tipping the show. Unajua Fabisha ameongea Kiswahili mpaka ikabidi wameelewana. You know Ismail also speaks a lot of Swahili and a big boss na Fabish. Waswahili Kongoea, yeah. But Western Shilaho is back on the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Home Run PP. Of course, weekdays 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. What is the Kenya you want? That is the question I'm asking. And as you've heard, it's not the Kenya you wish, it's the Kenya you want. And if it's something that you want, and it's something that I've learned as a person, is if you want something, you work for it. So this is the Kenya you want. How are you working towards that? Western Shilau, continue talking to us. I know you are rudely interrupted.
Thank you so much. Peter, I was talking about empathy. That's what I was talking about. Empathy is actually what humanizes us. That I'm not just interested in a cause because I stand to benefit directly. I'm invested in a cause because people, some whom I don't know, will benefit. I may not even benefit myself. I'm invested in a cause because there are people who are at pain. I may not even be one of the victims of that. That's what it means. So this fight for good governance, for accountability, it has to be inspired by the need to set up a country that works for everybody, not just myself. You see, look at those people at the airport, those workers. Those workers, we hope that in due course, we will not have such people in the society who are concerned about things because they, affect them directly. You should be concerned because somebody else is affected. It is just a matter of time before you fall victim as well. So we've been operating in silos in Kenya until now. And that is what makes Anthony make this very jarring prediction that Ruto is here to stay. One, why did we move from Ruto must go to preparing for 2027 elections? Why? When? Because if I go by Anthony's logic, that this particular political actor is very ruthless, extremely ruthless, then what it means that I wouldn't look forward to 2027 elections because they won't be credible. Then what it means that I wouldn't even be interested in who sits in the IEBC or who becomes chair, because he'll ensure that whoever sits in that body or becomes chair will do his bidding. If he could do that while he was not in charge of the state levers, what about now that he's in charge of state levers? What about now? So where does that leave us? It makes us to reflect about what other people are doing elsewhere. As we speak, for those who care to follow developments elsewhere in Africa and beyond, the president of Senegal has just dissolved parliament. And the reason is that he can't prosecute his agenda in parliament. There's a lot of, opposition from members who do not belong to his party. So what did he decide to do? He's decided to go back to the people for a fresh mandate. Give me sufficient numbers in parliament so that I do what? I prosecute my agenda, turn around your lives. What happens in Kenya? You buy people. What happens in Kenya? You buy the opposition person with other people and bring them in the cabinet. And you call that, an inclusive government. No, it doesn't work like that in functioning democracies. If you cannot proceed because you have a hung parliament, you dissolve it and you get a fresh mandate. You tell the Kenyan people, if you think I'm worthy to serve you, and deliver on my manifesto, give me the mandate, give me the numbers in parliament. But here you cut deals in Kenya, you cut deals. And you are cutting those deals not because you want to serve the people of Kenya, because you want immunity. Immunity from impeachment, immunity from prosecution, immunity from, opposition in the bicameral chamber. We can't tolerate that. And therefore, I'm disturbed by this notion that after you've had elections, you can only have elections after 5 years. Who tells you that? Countries do have elections even after a year, even after 2 years. Even within 5 years, they can have 5 elections. For democracy allows that. Where do we get this notion that after elections have been concluded, we can only have the next elections 5 years down the line? So people will mess you up for 5 years. You're just going to wait for them at the end of 5 years. Can you see how punishing that is? It's not even democratic. I put it to you. It's not. This social contract between the people and their representatives is constantly renewable. In fact, on a daily basis. It's not this 5-year contract. You renew it on a daily basis. So we voted for you today. We wake up the following day, you've set up a cabinet that we don't like. I mean, people will turn against you. They just turn against you immediately. We voted for you today. You start prosecuting programs that were never part of your manifesto. People will turn against you immediately. And they'll demand that you go home. And they demand for fresh elections. But what do we do in Kenya? No, let's start preparing for elections next time they happen, 2027. Okay. So 2027, skullduggery again happens, the person comes back. So we also start preparing for 5 years down. Can't you see how we're kicking the can down the line? Can't you see how we're kicking the can down the line? I don't think it works like that. 5-year tenure is sustained to the extent that you're responding to popular interests, that people are happy with the education you're providing for their kids. People are happy with the security in the country. There are no things like extrajudicial and summary executions. People are happy there's no corruption, because corruption raises the cost of doing business or just being a citizen. The cost is too high. People are happy because there's rule of law. We don't hear this thing where, the previous speaker, Fabish, talked about some very weird, bizarre judgment. And I'm saying that judgment is not isolated. If you watch, the courts in Kenya are notorious for those kind of judgments. These positions are not contemplated for in the Constitution. Chief administrative, secretaries or something like that. But because the president has already appointed these people, now there'll be a disruption. Let them just continue serving. Such a bizarre judgment. So then we ask, okay, why don't you afford ordinary Kenyans this privilege? That you can come to court when you wish, and even after you've been sentenced, you also have an opportunity to come to court, and that sentence can be waived. Or you can choose to report to the nearest, correctional facility, prison, or you can't. Why don't we afford ordinary mere mortals that kind of opportunity? We can't. The courts will not. You know why? Because the criminal justice system is broken. How do you tell that it's broken? It's broken because in functioning societies where the rule of law is the lodestar, if you are in a position of authority, you are expected to be exemplary. And if you are not, the rule of law comes down heavily on you. If you're a president, you will be impeached. They'll not wait for elections, next election. They will impeach you immediately. Because if they keep you, your bad manners and your deviancy will become normative in the society. It will become normative. So if you're a president and you're presiding over corruption, those societies deal with you decisively because they're protecting the rest of the society. If you are there and this corruption is taking place and nothing is happening, now every other person in the society starts to believe that, corruption pays. To be honest, doesn't pay. Yeah, and before you realize the entire society is corroded. That's why if you're a senior police officer like this person here, or you're a president, or you're a cabinet minister, whichever position you hold, societies that are anchored on the rule of law expect you to lead as far as upholding the rule of law is concerned. If you don't, they punish you to protect the rest of the society. We don't do that in Kenya. So we think by punishing people who don't have money, people who don't have positions, that means the constitution is working. It's not working. It means it's not there. It's just a piece of paper. So until we start punishing, or our courts are strong enough to start punishing the likes of this acting Inspector General of Police, or some ministers or politicians, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow compatriots, we don't have the rule of law. Because what we have is something called partial rule of law. And partial rule of law is worse than not having the rule of law at all. Because that's what it means. You selectively apply the rule of law. And what do? You breed discontent. You breed divisions in the society. When people see that, look, I'm hard done by because I don't know any tall person in the government. That's why they came down hard on me. This other person stole money, but he's walking around. He's even been allowed to run for a political office. People become disgruntled. The society is teeming with people who are very disgruntled, very annoyed, very bitter.